Is this the last NECA, the last Ronin Raphael review on YouTube? Yeah, probably. In this video, I'm gonna go over the details of NECA's The Last Ronin Raphael. I'm gonna show you accessories. And then we'll get into the unique articulation, at least to me, when it comes to NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lines. And of course, I'll be looking at all of that through the lens of... all that to help you determine whether or not you should part with your money for this Raphael action figure. But let's face it, you probably made that decision months ago. As always, there will be affiliate links to everything you see in the video. Consume! Now, let's get to it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, NECA's The Last Ronin Raphael. And I gotta say, they did a lot on this figure that I'm crazy impressed with. Check out, if we look at this, check out the detail just on the vest. There's a cool wash going on in there. The pockets are looking good. The pouches, how very 90s of them, are sculpted ridiculously cool. Everything here just looks good. It's got all kinds of stuff going on. I'm a big fan of what they've done here. I like how you're getting comic book lines in the tricep area there. I think that's really cool. You get a lot of comic book lines all over the figure, really, which is also incredibly cool. I just love the look of this thing. It's one of those things I talk about how NECA can be a guilty pleasure for yours truly because I love articulation in figures and NECA doesn't exactly do much when it comes to articulation compared to other lines, although with this kind of figure, I think we're getting some improvement. We have killer work on the shell, all this. Just, I'm loving what I'm seeing. The detail is crazy. The way that they put everything together here just looks super good. And now the shell here, when I talk about how NECA doesn't really concentrate on articulation, what they did with the shell is they made it kind of a rubbery material so that you do get a little more. You can crank out a little more articulation out of this Raphael than you can with other figures. It was just really well thought out, I think. I'm really impressed with the details, with what's going on with this figure, with the comic lines, and I know I'm a big fan of the comic lines that NECA does anyway when I'm talking about, like, Mirage specifically, the Eastman and Laird line, but man, I'm talking more just, I love that they've given them this comic look. NECA knows how to do that kind of stuff. Other companies should just be like, you know what, we're not going to try and get fancy, let's not try and be NECA, just stay in our lane. Because NECA is just about the only company that seems able to really crush it when it comes to that kind of comic-style detail. One thing I can't show you on this video is really the material that they've used for this figure. A lot of what I have from NECA has pretty tough, hard plastic and all that, so you can use it, you can move it around, you can make it look cool, you can make it do things, no doubt. But this figure, this thing has a softer kind of plastic going on all over, I think. And I gotta say, this one feels more like an action figure than any other figure I have from NECA. Alright, in all fairness to yours truly, I actually only have 15 NECA figures, and they're all turtle-based, except for my Usagi's, which are kind of loosely turtle-based. So you might be watching this and going, no, man, they've done a lot of figures with this kind of feel, at which point, I am clearly an ignoramus. Oh, now, it's accessory time, baby. We're gonna start it off with this arrow right here. Well, that seems weird. I wonder why The Last Ronin Raphael would come with an arrow. Raph also comes with this kunai. Okay, I did a Google image search on the whole kunai thing. I think it's a kunai. Don't give me too much crap if it's not, because hey, I tried. And you can't have a Raphael without a couple of sais. And I want to show just how cool these look. So we'll get rid of one. Check this thing out. Look at that shiny metal paint going on. And flip it over. And they did a lot of work on the old, I'm going to guess, hilt? Handle? Brown? Anyway, whatever you want to call it, it looks good. As for hands, I have Raphael sporting his 2 fists. And here we have a couple karate chopping hands for our resident angry turtle. We have 2 hands for holding the side just like that. 2 quick things, baby. Number 1, those sais. Sai? I don't know. What's the plural of that? Don't fit perfectly in the hands, but you'll be able to cheat them for your photography. And number 2 is the fact that the sai themselves are made out of kind of a slightly softer plastic than many of NECA's weapons, so you probably won't break them. That's good news. And last with the hands, 2 hands to hold the sai just like that. Just good old-fashioned gripping hands. One more quick thing about the sai. I just love the storage on his back. I think that's rad. And finally, what Raphael action figure would be complete without an angry Raphael head, complete with spinning bandana? The other head has that as well. Okay, so far the angry shell head is doing great when it comes to toy photography. He's got detail for days and accessories to days, but if we're being honest, that's kind of what NECA does. So now it's time to check out the articulation. Alright, number 1. That is as far down as his arms can go. For me, that works. For you, your mileage may vary. And check out how well that arm bends at the elbow, especially considering he's got his armband going on there. The fact that it goes that far, that's one of those really unusual things when it comes to NECA Turtles, because most of the time, you do get some bend, and the Eastman and Laird, I believe, are better than many, but this is just kinda out of this world. Something else going on with Raphael when it comes to his leg, there's a peg going right up into his thigh so you can get spin. Now I have a couple figures that do that, but that doesn't seem to be the norm, at least out of the 15 I have. More leg movement. Check out the bend at the knee. Hoo-hoo-hoo. I'm telling you, I think this is pretty good stuff. Okay, here's kind of an odd look, but that's kind of how much you get at his hips because of the shell. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but for turtles, I think that's pretty good. And it's because they made this shell kind of more of a rubberized type plastic. Not bad at all. At least when we're talking turtles, like I said earlier. And that was a lot of turtle crotch. Alright, obviously I'm a fan of this figure, but there's gonna be drawbacks to everything, so now it's time for the bad. Oh dear. Alright, checking out Raphael's head here, we have some of the tilt, which is good. I like it. We have quite a bit of forward. We're not gonna get a whole lot of back. Now, this next part here is because of the character design. I don't fault NECA for this at all. I think they did the best they could. But one of the things I like when you turn a head a certain way is being able to still get that tilt. And you're not going to be able to get the tilt to, say, this side now because the shoulder design goes right into the neck. That's just the design of the character itself. So messing with that, we got nothing on the tilt, but we do have tilt going the other way. So it really just depends on what you're trying to get there. So I would say because of the character design, again, not because of NECA, it's really kind of limited in the old neck department. And I would say the only other negative is if you really go wrenching on this at the knee, you're going to pop the peg clean out. So suddenly he's just not going to have a bottom half of his leg. But it pops out it pushes back in. Just be careful when it comes to bending this thing at the knee so that that doesn't happen. But again, if it does happen, hey, it's happened to me on multiple occasions. Really, I'm just not that gentle. But you can just pop it back in, easy enough. No fuss, no muss. There you go. So how does the turtle's resident opponent of anger management size with a whole lot of other lines? Yeah, let's take a look at that now. Here's the last Ronin Raph sized up against the other Raphs in the Toypixx collection. We have NECA's Universal Monsters TMNT crossover Raph as Frankenstein. We have Playmates Mutant Mayhem Raph. And we have NECA's Eastman and Laird Raphael from the TMNT 4-pack. Here we have the last Ronin Raph with NECA's Eastman and Laird Zog and the Stan Sakai Space Usagi Yojimbo from the Usagi Yojimbo 4-pack, also from NECA. Here's the last Ronin Raph alongside Jada Toys Street Fighter II Ultra Chun-Li and Fei Long. Now the last Ronin Raph with G.I. Joe Classified's Retro Scarlet and Retro Duke, yeah. I called him Duke. He earned it. Here's the last Ronin Raphael with Marvel Legends Black Widow and Marvel Legends Cowboy Logan. Here's the last Ronin Raphael alongside a Medicom Mafex Spider-Man and the Medicom Mafex Hush Batman. And the reason I wanted to show these is because there's a Daredevil coming out from Mafex within the next few months. And if you know about your turtles, you know you need a Daredevil. Okay, Marvel Legends has some of those too. As a quick side note, when it comes to scale, I really like the sizing of this Raphael with everybody in the collection. In the last Ronin, the turtles were supposed to be getting a little bigger as they got a little older. So this, to me, looks like he's going to fit in pretty much with any 1/12 scale line you've got. So what's my final verdict when it comes to this last Ronin Raphael from NECA? I think if you're into toy photography, you're going to love this thing. He's got all the details in all the right spots. He's got weapons and hands for days. The hands. You get so much expression out of a bunch of hands when it comes to photography that it's the reason I love getting hands so much. And it's also the reason that I only really pick up action figures with extra hands, and this Raphael has all kinds of them. Plus he's got the really angry head. Oh, that is vintage Raph, people, my people. Now, the bad here, the fact that his head doesn't move any better than it does, and the fact that the peg slides out of the leg if you really wrench on it, well, like I said earlier, the head, that's just the design. There's nothing NECA can do about that. And the peg? Well, just make it so you're not quite so rough on your figures as yours truly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that for my thoughts when it comes to this Raphael. Now, do me a favor, comment below and let me know, did you pick him up? Were you as blown away as I was? Because I have to say, honestly, this is the kind of figure that makes me think, I really need to do a deep dive into this line because he's just that good. And with that, thanks as always for checking out the video, and until next time, have fun and happy snapping. See ya. Speaking of the way that Raph's head moves, have you ever waken up and your neck just wasn't gonna work and you had to drive quite a ways that day? So every time you needed to do a lane change, specifically to the driver's side, you just couldn't do it? You would turn your head, you couldn't see anything, so eventually you got to this point where you just flew till you knew that the road was totally empty, and then you could move over real quick. Oh man, when you pull that off, you're a superhero. Nothing can stop you. It's adventure time. Good Lord, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.